Do you have any tips, suggestions, best practices for how to master the Q&A? Anything at all that comes to mind?
If you're the one being asked the questions?
Yes.
I think it's to realise that you're not expected to be hugely polished in a Q&A, actually, to take the pressure off and realise this becomes a conversation now. This becomes people asking you a question that you're allowed to consider. I think one of the things I learned that has a similar, perhaps, symmetry, the hardest thing for a journalist on 24-hour news is breaking news. Obviously, it's one thing to read a script and to have an auto cue, but when suddenly a story starts to break and you're off script, you've got nothing of use on the auto cue, you've got probably someone talking in your ear, you've got pieces of information coming up on your computer screen from the news agencies where it's all still quite confused. When I was starting, and I think people doing a Q&A do this, is I thought they'd say, right, break the news that, you know, such and such a person has died, or there's been a terrible fire, and I would think, oh my gosh, I need to be able to say this all so brilliantly and succinctly. And you would start reading off, here's some breaking news, Reuters are saying this, and then you lose your train of thought. I realized that taking your time and actually almost commenting on what you were doing. So you buy yourself time. So in a news scenario, it might be, we've just had some breaking news through. Let me give you the headline first of all. They're telling us this. Now, just while I explain that, I'm just going to have a quick look through and actually almost narrate what I was doing. I realized that wasn't cheating, that bought me time. And I think, although it's not a total parallel, I think with the Q&A, you can do a bit of that. You can say, not to some extent, it's that kind of cop out of, oh, that's a really interesting question. But there are more interesting ways of saying that and say, yeah, thanks so much for the question. What strikes me to begin with is that maybe there are two ways of looking at it, and almost take the audience with you. If you're exploring it, almost let them know that and say, I've not looked at it like that before, but my first thought is probably this, and I'm also thinking this element could be important. So as I think about it now, and then perhaps, and almost let people see your thought process if you're in territory which is a little bit unfamiliar to you.